If Google was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, do I believe our people would have had a change of heart and do things differently? The other day I did a video, a little short. You know they got these shorts on YouTube now, little video clip. And I asked in the video, if Google was out back then in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, you know, 60s, 70s, would our people have done things different? And you said, oh, y'all said, okay, JT, now we want to know your answer. I believe a few, and I'm going to say only a few, probably would have done it different. And the reason why I said that, and I already had this answer before I did that first video, the reason why I say that because when we have been brainwashed so long, when your identity has been taken from you, you don't know who you are, who you serve, what you serve, you'll fall for anything. And even all the way up to now, with all the Google that's out and all the information that's online, a lot of our people still won't read, won't study. I ain't say all of us. A lot of us do. And the Bible is clear on my people will perish for the lack of knowledge. Perish. Think about that. Because there's so much power in knowledge. And when you put the Most High's knowledge with the Most High's wisdom, you're a bad man. You're a bad woman. I mean bad in a good way. Man, with the power of reading, and keep in mind, back in the day, a lot of our older people didn't know how to read. I remember my pop telling me how he was teaching his mom how to read, because she never learned how to read. And even a lot of our older people, they was religious. And when you look up religion alone, read means to bind. It keeps you in bondage. And that's why my answer is I don't think a lot of them would have came out of it, because when you look at being brainwashed, and it was in what you've been doing year after year, generation after generation, because it was good enough for mama or daddy did it, papa did it. But the question is, what is truth? To them, to all of us, what is the truth? And when Google came out, oh man, how many people quit going to the libraries? Some people still go to the libraries, but a lot of people, you just go in your front room or your bedroom or wherever on your laptop or whatever device you're working on your phone, and you can Google this and Google that, and there is so much information. But we have always been brainwashed to follow a leader, teach Holy Spirit, fall behind somebody else, instead of depending on the Holy Spirit. Don't get me wrong, the Holy Spirit does put people in position, put leaders in position. But at the same time, the devil do too. Somebody better catch this. And when you've been brainwashed just to be protesting and marching, you know, and no disrespect to nobody that protest and march and keep doing the same thing year after year. I'm not mad at you. You do what you do. You do what you think is right, but just don't be mad at me when I don't do it. Because I don't do it, and I don't care nothing for doing it. And I don't encourage people to do it, because the agenda is so far off base, it really don't have nothing to do with us, because we living in the satanic world system once again. So I believe if they did have a Google back then, a few of them would have woke up and probably would have went against this system. But the problem is we've never been taught how to really live and go against this system, because everything we have done in our life have taught us to be a part of this system. That's why it was put in play from the get-go, you know. But see, now, what I love about 2020, 21, 22, you know, from 2000 on up, a lot of people I know have woke up, and they're not listening and going for no anything and everything no more. They have been studying. They done came into the truth. They done came into the knowledge. They done came out of religion. They done came out of Christianity. They done came out of confusion. They done came out of tradition of man. And they family hate them for it, because now when you come out of this stuff, you pretty much go against your family. But I always say, if they would have had something like Google back in the 60s, 70s, when Dr. King and them was marching, even the 50s, would they have did things different? Would they have Googled and looked at that all presidents were related to each other back then? Would they have looked up, and even Roosevelt said that presidents are not elected, they are selected? Would they have still voted? Would they have still fought for voters' rights? Would they still have fought for all this stuff for being able to vote and segregation and civil rights movement and all this stuff? Because when you go back from that day all the way up to now, you still see a lot of the same thing. You see a lot of the same thing. Slavery now is worse because it's mental, it's spiritual slavery, mental slavery, when your mindset ain't right, and it's keeping you in bondage. When your mind is locked up and you won't accept information, it really ain't nothing nobody can say to you, So I always wondered, if they would have had Google back then, would they have went against so much, or would have operated a different way? Because I'm going to tell you something, them slave owners back then, in this so-called, this American white history, I ain't talking about biblical history, but white history, they like his story, when they was hanging and lynching, all that. It's the reason why they didn't want us to know how to read. Because, I'm going to say this like I want, a black man or a black woman with knowledge and wisdom, that's a dangerous person. That knows the law, that knows everything, that knows the Bible, that's wise. That's a dangerous person. And you know what they want to do and what they have done. Shut you up. You know why? Because words are way more powerful than you think they are. Think about that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a wonderful, 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 blessed day. Shalom.